65-year-old farmer William Johnson had been working in the same barn for 40 years, until that morning when he opened the door and saw the geometric shapes on the ground. His animals were in terror. The soil looked as if it had been melted by high heat, and there was a smell in the air he had never known before. Welcome to Shelley's Mysterious Files. Today I'm sharing with you the story of the unexplained traces discovered by a farm family in Iowa in their barns, and the extraordinary events that followed that night. William, what exactly did you see when you went to the barn that morning?
Shelley, I get up at 5:30 every morning and check on the animals. I've been following the same routine for 40 years. That morning I went to the barn at my usual time, but as soon as I opened the door, I realized something was very wrong. The first thing that caught my attention was that all of my animals were gathered in the farthest corner of the barn. 20 cows, 15 sheep, all trembling with fear in one corner with a terror in their eyes I had never seen before. Normally they would come running when they see me, but that day, none of them even moved.
After seeing this strange behavior of the animals, what did you do? Did you notice any other abnormalities?
At first I thought the animals were sick. Maybe they had eaten something, but then when I looked at the barn floor, I was shocked. In the middle, right in the center of the barn, there were perfectly circular burn marks. It was about 4 to 5 meters in diameter, and it looked as if the soil had been melted by very high temperature. I'm a farmer. I know all kinds of tracks in the soil. Tractor tracks, animal tracks, rain tracks, but I had never seen anything like this. The soil was shining like glass, as if it had crystallized.
Besides these circular burn marks, did you notice any other details? How was the depth or thickness of the marks?
The circle was exactly 2 centimeters deep, in perfect thickness, as if someone had drawn it with a ruler. The thickness of the line was about 15 centimeters, and it was the same depth and thickness all around the circle. And the strangest part was that the soil inside the circle was not affected at all. Only that line had burned. Also, inside the circle, near the center, there were 3 more small circles, about 30 centimeters in diameter. These were also burned in the same way, but much deeper.
When you discovered these traces, what was the first thing that came to your mind? Had you heard of such a thing before?
I was confused, frankly, and the first thing that came to my mind was maybe someone was playing a prank. But who could draw such perfect shapes? Besides, our farm is 15 miles from town. The nearest neighbor is 2 miles away. No one would come here at night and do such a thing. Moreover, there was no power outage or fire. But the strangest part was that metallic smell hanging in the air. I had never smelled anything like it. It was like iron being melted, but much sharper and bitter smell.
You're talking about this metallic smell. How long did this smell last, and was it intense?
The smell was very intense, Shelley. It was as if heavy metal particles were entering my nose. It became difficult to breathe. This smell lasted all day. Even the next day, it could be felt slightly. My wife, Martha, also noticed it. She said, "It's like a laboratory smell." I've never been to a laboratory, but if laboratories smell like this, it's very disturbing. What was interesting was that this smell was only inside the barn. When I stepped outside, it would completely disappear.
How did your wife Martha and other people in your family react to this situation? Were there other things they noticed?
Martha didn't believe me at first. We've been married for 35 years. She knows I don't make things up, but she was still surprised. Then she came to the barn, and when she saw what she saw, she fell silent. My son David and daughter-in-law Sarah also came. They both live in the city. They're more educated. David is an engineer. He immediately started taking photos and making measurements. Sarah also examined the animals. She studied veterinary medicine. Both said this cannot be a natural thing. What scared Martha the most was the condition of the animals.
How did the animals' behavior continue throughout that day? Did they return to their normal state?
No, they never returned to their normal state, Shelley. None of them ate or drank water that day. They stayed huddled in the corner. Their eyes seemed to be constantly looking at that circle in the center of the barn. The strangest part was that none of them would go near that circle. Normally, animals wander around everywhere in the barn, but from that day on, none of them would even approach within 2 meters of the circle. This situation lasted for weeks. Milk production decreased, egg production declined.
After this incident, did you contact local authorities? Did a sheriff or someone else come?
The next day, I called Sheriff Jim Peterson. Jim knows me well. He's been sheriff for 20 years. A serious man. He came, saw with his own eyes, but didn't know what to say. "William, I've never seen anything like this before," he said. He took photos, wrote a report, but didn't know what to do either. Then he said, maybe someone from the university will come and examine it. A week later, Dr. Margaret Foster from the University of Iowa came. She was a soil expert.
What kind of examinations did Dr. Foster conduct? Could she provide any explanation?
Dr. Foster was a very meticulous woman. She stayed in the barn for 3 hours. She took soil samples, made measurements, took photographs. She scanned with a metal detector, but couldn't find any metal. The most interesting part was when she measured with a thermometer, she detected that the burn marks were still hot. Despite 3 days passing, it was 5 to 6 degrees warmer than normal soil. "This is very abnormal," she said. "Soil cannot retain its temperature for so long."
When did the soil analysis results come, and what did they show?
2 weeks later, Dr. Foster called and reported the results. They had found high levels of iron and nickel particles in the soil, but the structure of these metals was very, very strange. They weren't like normal iron and nickel, as if they had melted at very high temperature and solidified again. Also, there were isotopes they had never seen before. "I cannot explain how these metals got into this state," she had said. The strangest part was that these metals were only inside the burn lines, not found in the surrounding soil at all.
After receiving these scientific results, were there any other investigations related to the incident?
A month after Dr. Foster, people from the federal government came. They showed their IDs, but didn't exactly say which agency they were from. There were 3 of them, very serious and professional. They conducted more detailed examinations, scanned every inch of the barn. They even asked retrospective questions like, "Have you seen such things before?" They never shared the results with us, just said the investigation is ongoing.
Did you notice anything on the night itself? Strange sounds, lights, or other abnormalities?
Actually, strange things had happened that night, but I didn't take them seriously until I saw the marks in the barn in the morning. Around 2 to 3 a.m., my dog Buster started barking continuously. Normally, he's a very calm dog. He only barks when strangers come. That night, he was like he had gone crazy, constantly looking toward the barn and barking. Martha also woke up, said, "Go see what's wrong." But I said, maybe it's a raccoon or something, and stayed in bed.
Did you hear other sounds that night? Or did you look outside from the window?
Actually, about half an hour after the dog barked, I heard a strange sound. It was like a very large beehive, a very low-frequency buzzing, and this sound lasted about 10 to 15 minutes. Martha was sleeping. I didn't want to wake her. I went to the window and looked, but it was very dark. There was no moon either. I think I saw a very faint blue light toward the barn, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was just my eyes playing tricks.
How long did you see this blue light, and what kind of light was it?
It was very brief, maybe 2 to 3 minutes. It was as if someone was turning a blue flashlight on and off inside the barn. It wasn't steady. It was a flickering light, not like normal bulb light. It was a colder light. I thought about going out to look, but I didn't dare go to the barn at that hour. I thought I'd wait until morning. Look in daylight. I wish I had gone out and looked that night. Maybe I would have seen more.
Did you continue working in the barn the following mornings? Did you feel safe?
I was very tense for the first few days, frankly. I've been working in that barn for 40 years. I know every part of it with my eyes closed. But those days I felt as if I was in a strange place. The animals were still in a frightened state, which also bothered me. But farm work doesn't stop. The animals need to be taken care of. I got used to it over time. but I still don't get too close to that circle.
How did the burn marks change over time? Are they still visible?
Something very interesting happened, Shelley. In the first months, the marks were very prominent, as if they had been drawn yesterday. But after 6 months, they slowly started to fade. Now, 2 years have passed. They're still visible, but much fainter. What's interesting is that no grass ever grew in those places. There's grass in other parts of the farm, but the soil is still bare where the burn marks were. It's as if nothing can grow in that soil.
Did you hear similar stories from your neighbors or other farmers in the area?
After the incident became known, 5 to 6 neighboring farmers said they had experienced similar things. For example, Tom Miller, 3 miles away, said his cows went crazy that same night, and the next morning he found strange circle shapes in his pasture. Susan Williams also told that her sheep were very restless that night, and in the morning, the hay bales in the barn were arranged in a strange way. It was as if this incident didn't just happen at our farm. Something had happened throughout the region.
After experiencing this incident, did your thoughts about UFOs or paranormal events change?
I would never believe in such things before, Shelley. When I saw UFO programs on television, I would say nonsense, but I'm not so sure anymore. What I saw has no logical explanation. Scientists couldn't explain it either. If federal government people came and investigated, there must be something serious. I'm trying to be more open-minded now. Thinking that we are the only intelligent beings in the universe might be too narrow-minded.
What do the other members of your family think about this? How did their perspective change?
Martha had approached skeptically at first, but now she's more curious than me. She constantly watches UFO documentaries, reads books. Maybe we really had visitors from other planets, she says. My son David approaches it more scientifically because he's an engineer, but he also says this incident must have a technological explanation. My daughter-in-law, Sarah, is very affected by the changes in the animal's behavior because she's a veterinarian.
Were there permanent changes in the behavior of the animals on the farm after that night?
Yes, there were permanent changes. The most obvious one is that no animal approaches near that circle. Even newborn calves avoid that area, as if they instinctively know it's dangerous. Also, the general behavior of my animals has changed. The cows that used to be very calm and docile are now much more alert and tense. They startle at the slightest sound. Their milk production still hasn't fully returned to its former state.
After this experience, do you feel different when walking around the farm at night?
Frankly, being alone on the farm at night is no longer as comforting as it used to be. Especially when I approach the barn, I feel like I still smell that metallic odor. Sometimes in the silence of the night, I feel like I hear that buzzing I heard that night. It might be mental, but it feels very real. Martha also wonders when she looks at the barn from the window at night. I wonder if they'll come back.
Was there any news about this incident in the media? Was there press interest?
The local newspaper ran a small story, but didn't go into much detail. A few curious people came to take photos, but there wasn't much mainstream media interest. Actually, this was good for us. If too many people came, the animals would get more stress, our work would be disrupted. But there are people researching these topics on the internet. I received a few emails from them. I learned that there are other farmers who have experienced similar things.
What do you say to people who haven't experienced this? Do you try to convince them?
I don't try to convince anyone, Shelley. If I had heard such a story 2 years ago, I wouldn't believe it either. I would say old man's imagination. But what I experienced is real, and there's evidence for it. Soil analyses, photographs, veterinary reports. Those who want can come and see. There's no need to forcefully convince those who don't want to. My purpose is just to share the facts. People draw their own conclusions.
If such an incident happens again in the future, would you approach it differently this time?
I would definitely approach it differently. This time I would immediately go out and look. I would take the dogs barking seriously. I would keep a camera ready, take videos. Also, I would notify experts faster. there are experienced people in these matters, I would try to reach them early. Most importantly, whatever I saw, whatever I heard that night, I would record everything.
What are the things this experience taught you?
The most important thing I learned is that the universe is much more mysterious than we thought. At 65, with my 40 years of farming experience, I realized I still have a lot to learn. I also learned not to be prejudiced. I saw that things I used to call nonsense might actually be real. People need to be open-minded, to listen, because there are many things in this world that we cannot explain.
Finally, what message would you like to give to people listening to this story?
I want to say this. Unexplainable events are happening in this world. What happened to me is just one of them. If something similar happens to you, don't be afraid, but take it seriously. Know that you're not going crazy. You're not imagining things. Keep records, take photos, ask for help from experts, and most importantly, don't hesitate to share your experiences, because maybe you too have witnessed a part of this great mystery.
William, thank you very much for sharing this personal and touching experience with us. This really takes courage.
Thank you, Shelley. I hope this story shows people who have had similar experiences that they are not alone. And this universe is a very big and mysterious place. What we know may be just the tip of the iceberg.
Listeners, you have heard this mysterious event that the Johnson family experienced on their farm in Iowa. In the next episode, we'll be together again with another unexplainable encounter story. Thank you for joining us.